Thanks for tuning in to Tapped In. If you're feeling stuck or overwhelmed on the mats, come find your direction in our DFM Coaching BJJ School community. Now, let's get started.
Welcome to Tapped In. My name is David Figueroa-Martinez of DFM Coaching, and today we're going to be discussing the North-South. North-South is a position that I enjoy playing quite often. I don't play it necessarily every round that I'm training. Sometimes I'm training something very specific, or the opponent that I'm rolling with maybe doesn't give me a need to go to North-South. So I play other aspects of my game. North-South was introduced to me when I was, I want to say, white belt, late, mid white belt. And because I had taken a liking to the Kimura, the North-South became the avenue for implementing the Kimura because it's such a solid position to be in. If you've never seen the position, or maybe you're brand new, I don't want to put it that way. We are hips to head. One person's on top, one's on bottom. The goal being that you want to create moments of pressure where your opponent cannot escape, readily available. They can't belly down. They can't turn away unless you want them to. The reason I use North-South specifically is because I don't have to deal with your legs anymore. For the most part. Some people are really flexible and they start doing some weird shit. But when I pass the guard, with people who have really tricky guards, people who have really dexterity, who are really dexterous with their legs, and I'm hoping I said that right, they can bring their feet and knees back into framing positions really easily. They hip escape really well. They frame against the body with their forearms in a way where the legs come back into play. And then you have to work all over again to pass the guard. With these people, I will intentionally go to North-South so I don't have to deal with the legs. Once I deal with the legs and I start to pass, sometimes because I know certain people, they'll try to reguard. I bring my inside arm across the hip, which negates them bringing their legs back or their knee back or their foot back. When you're playing North-South, it's better if you can flatten them out because it gives you some more options as to what you want to do. There's plenty of arm attacks from here. There's plenty of chokes, strangles from here. From here alone, there's North-South choke. If they turn away from that, you have modified you have guillotine. You have a modified guillotine that's more like a rear naked choke arm configuration. You have North-South choke, but with your knee. If you're a Kimura guy and you start setting up the Kimura, you have the arm bar, Kimura, Barrica Plata, T Kimura. What else do we got in here? Wrist locks are always available. Scissor choke is in there. Then you have your back takes. So it's a game in a position that allows you to play a lot of different things from there. But preferably, I have to control that my opponent doesn't turn to their side unless I want them to. There's going to be times when I drop my weight and I need to get off my knees in most of the cases. There are moments where I may get to my knees because they're starting to turn and they're giving me a Kimura grip or an armbar grip. That's slightly different. But when I want them to be flat, I need to get off my knees. I need to drive weight into them. One, my far side arm kind of cups their shoulder or their arm, and my rib cage will drop down onto their near side shoulder. So I get so heavy and my weight is kind of crossing across the body. It's not lineal. Like if you're North-South, it's from head to hip. It's more like inside shoulder to far side hip. And we keep that because they can't turn away from me unless I allow them to, or I take some of the weight off from my rib cage. And if they start turning into me, I can hook the legs with my inside hand into place. One thing that I will tell you when you're playing the game, if you're attacking an arm or you're attacking the position and you want reactions, it's really important to start dropping weight in a certain way. One of the things that I love to do is I like to fish under an arm and start getting like the Kimura grip, but the early stages of it. So I bring, let's say I'm attacking the far side arm. They're flat still. I start wedging that part where your thumb meets your wrist. There's a little divot there. I don't even know how to describe it, but I use that to get under the elbow. And then I start wiggling my hand deeper, and I want to go all the way to the armpit. When I get to the armpit, I'm going to do a couple of different things based on this person is hyperactive, whether this person has been mean to me, maybe they're a bit more skilled than me, and I need to just kill their gas tank a little bit. And I need to make them suffer. Once you bring that arm underneath the armpit, so now your forearm is underneath the armpit, and you can look at either your watch, like if you had a watch on, you can look at the underside of your wrist, or you can put your thumb towards you. These give different levels of responses, specifically the one where your thumb is pointing towards you. When I get to this position and I bring my forearm all the way to the armpit, there's also a level of engagement there where if I'm kind of shallow, I'm not quite to the armpit, it sucks, but it doesn't really suck. I want to pull my arm or my forearm all the way to the armpit and then yank it towards me so it kind of lifts the arm. Once it lifts the arm, I'm going to go either flat or I'm going to go the width of my wrist and point my thumb towards my chest. If they've been mean to me, I do thumb towards the chest. And then I start applying weight with my chest so their elbow gets pressed against their rib cage or hip, depending on how long they are. And what I'm doing here is I am punishing you, especially this version of it, because you either had too much energy, you're too strong, or you're too advanced. Or maybe you were rude to me and I just don't like you. When I do this, you will almost always hear an audible grunt. They're going to wheeze, they're going to grunt. You'll hear them like the air start rushing from their lungs. And then they're going to want to potentially go flat or turn away from you. You have to hold them in place. If the person that I'm doing this to is likable, someone, maybe they're not as advanced, maybe they've been nice to me, maybe they're a training partner that I genuinely like, and I don't want to go to the depth that I just explained, then I do a flat hand, and I will do the palm facing my chest, and then I will still do the weight, but maybe I lessen up a little bit. Or I do the weight, and I'm still trying to connect their elbow to their hip / rib cage, but it doesn't hurt as bad when I do it this way. That will lead to the Kimura grip, will then lead to an armbar if you want to take it. It can lead to Tariqa Plata if you want to take it. It can lead you to cross Kimura if you want to take that. And it can lead you to North-South Kimura. There's a bunch of different routes we can go here. They're all interconnected because they're based on or housed within the Kimura grip. One thing that I like to do additionally is I'll open up my hand. Usually they're grabbing their belt. And I'll open up my left hand, the one that goes to my wrist. I'll open up that hand, and the back of my hand will hold or wrap over their forearm and hold their hand in place. I will either grab the end of their belt, or I will grab their gi top, like the tail end, and I will feed that to my hand. It'll lock their wrist in place. So they're grabbing their belt, and now I have their wrist locked in place. You can do this palm up, palm down, completely up to you. It's your preference. Some people like palm up. I tend to do palm down for my own reasons, but you can't go wrong either way. When I do this, their arms locked in place is no longer part of the fight. They have to break through that in order to get it back. So I'll open up my leg that's over their face, and we'll start going bread cutter. I'll start digging my hand into the collar, thumb in. I'll flatten them out, drop my elbow to the mat, and start going in a circular motion, get the collar grip. We can also go scissor choke from this point. Both of my legs are on both sides of their body. I angle both my legs so that it's closer to the upper chest, neck area, and then I fall to my side so that they are flat on their back. The crook of my knee will go under their chin, and then the crook of the bottom knee will go at the base of their neck. You intertwine or you cross your ankles, and you start to straighten your legs, and you'll get a submission there. Be careful you're not over the jaw because it's kind of painful. But if you're under the jaw, it's a great submission. You can still attack the Kimura. You can still attack a couple of stuff from there. You can use it as a distraction or the end point of the game. If it's, let's say we want to do North-South choke, and as I position, like some people get really good at tucking their chin and they won't let you get under. When I start going under that arm, like I mentioned before, and I'm trying to connect their elbow to their hip or their rib cage, they naturally sit up a little bit, just out of pressure. It's not comfortable. That sit up, oftentimes they do it without connecting their chin to their chest, and you can actually swim the arm underneath and start attacking the North-South choke. Some tips from when you're in this position. I do not grab my hands. Plenty of people, they will gable grip, they will rear naked choke grip, they'll S grip. All these are viable and they're all great, and it's really all up to preference. I like to grab or put my hand flat against the mat, and this is the hand that's around the neck. I do not grab my hands. I do not grab S grip, any grip. My hand is on the mat and my arm is still wrapped around their neck. If I can feel their chin against the backside or underside of my shoulder, I drive my weight towards their hip just enough to clear the chin, and then I drop back down. It's not a big movement. It's a very small movement, but it's enough to get the chin out of the way. So my rib cage, my arm will have a solid pinch on the neck, and then we just start flexing our bicep, our shoulder, and we scoot away from the body, completely opposite direction of the legs, away from the body. And you're going to find a little bit of a divot, which you'll kind of fall into. And then you start squeezing with your bicep, your shoulder, and you'll typically get the submission from there. Sometimes you're a little off and they start to turn away. When they turn away, you got guillotine, traditional guillotine, arm in, arm out, high elbow guillotine. But you also have the rear naked choke arm configuration from there. So it's the same exact thing as a traditional rear naked choke, except your body is not connected to their back. And it's a great submission. It works better, I think, in no gi than it does gi. And just like the guillotine kind of works better in no gi than it does gi. Doesn't mean you can't get it. Doesn't mean you can't make it an arsenal or a part of your game. You really can. But the gi sometimes gets in the way and creates pockets and weird scenarios where you can't quite get a proper grip. What else? Things that I think people maybe mess up on is their weight. When you get to North-South, a lot of people keep their weight on their knees. And there's going to be times when that's a good thing, like maybe North-South Kimura. But if you're just strictly in North-South, your knees take too much of the weight off of your opponent when you should be driving it into them and making them suffer. Sometimes people, when they go to North-South Kimura, they hover too high. And if you're not quite sitting on top and taking the space away, they can start to maybe turn into you, get the elbow free, and a couple of other things. The other thing that I've noticed people do from North-South is sometimes they rush. It's a position that's really dominant. It's really in your favor. You're taking so much more away from them than they can ever take away from you. You have weight, gravity, pressure. Their legs can't come back into play for the most part. You're stacking the deck against them. You want to take your time here. It's not a rush. Play with the position, sit in the position, wait, watch where their weight goes. Don't position your weight too far over to one side and then get rolled over. Pay attention to what they're doing. pay attention to how they're responding. If they're pushing away with their arms, then you start attacking the arms. If they're turtling away from you, you start attacking the back. If they're turtling into you, drive your chest down and in. Keep them in place. They do not get turtle unless I allow it. And there's going to be times when I let off my weight a little bit because I want them to go to turtle. And I don't want them to go completely there. I just want them to think that they can get there. So I let off a little bit. And when they start to turn away, we go seatbelt immediately. We don't wait till both knees hit the mat and they're on all fours. We want to catch them in that in-between stage. And once we catch them there, we start taking it back. We can also start playing kind of like S-mount from that position. Maybe you throw the leg over. You hold them in place. You can take the arm. You can start setting up bow and arrow chokes. You can start setting up other various chokes from that spot. You can force them to give you mount. Like there's a lot of things that work in concert there. You just have to be patient. You do not want to get rolled over onto your back. That's the worst case scenario. Aside from that, punish them. Put your weight down. Make them work. Make them emotionally tired because it's a lot. You're worried about a lot when you're from that position. I have a couple of blue belts who the position, when I get there, I have to mind my P's and Q's and I have to keep everything nice and tight because I will get submitted from that spot. They're really good at that position. And I can't rush anything. I can't throw something up magically and think it's going to work. I have to be very technical and careful from that spot because it leads to so many other bad spots. I'm hoping this helps. If you have any questions about the position or maybe something I didn't cover or maybe something I need to elaborate on, please let me know. DFM.2099 on Instagram and Threads. We also have a free school community. Link should be in the show notes. Any questions, please hit me up. Until next time, thank you so much.